updates on the CBI team that has been formed. We're being told that it's around 8 to 12 officers who will be coming from Delhi to Mumbai. And this team of the SIT that has been formed, they will be landing probably today evening. And they held also a meeting with their legal team last evening. Let me go across to Shaban, who has more details with him. So, Shaban, in about 24 hours, right after the verdict was out, CBI will be beginning officially its work. And what do we know of the more teams that have been formed? And by all likelihood, they will be reaching Mumbai today evening.
Well, in fact, the details that we are picking up right now is that perhaps the CBI SIT team would be reaching sometime around 8 o'clock this evening, is what we are being told. All logistics are being provided by the CBI's Mumbai unit. In fact, we have been told that the cars that have been arranged for the officers would be reaching the airport sometime roughly around 7:30 this evening. And thereafter, the CBI officers would be immediately heading back to the hotel. Apparently, all arrangements that have been done is only for about a week, given the fact that the BMC has also communicated to the CBI that if the officers are coming for less than 7 weeks, there is no need for them being quarantined. And that is the reason why perhaps in all likelihood the officers would be here only for about less than 7 days. But apart from that, the details that we can confirm is that 8 to 12 officers who would be part of this entire team. A confirmation, however, not coming in right now, Amita, with regards to whether at all the joint director in this case would also be traveling along with his officers in this particular case. But earlier, we were told that the Superintendent of Police, Bipul Prasad, along with the Ravi Gambhir, who is also the Superintendent of Police, and the investigating officer, Anil Yadav, and few other officers would be traveling to Mumbai to carry out this entire probe.
Shaban, has there been any exemption sought? Because what has been cited by the Maharashtra government that they will meet the same fate as the Bihar IPS officer Vinay Tiwari if they do not seek exemption for staying for a longer period over 7 days. Otherwise, they have to follow the mandatory quarantine period.
Well, in fact, Amita, at this point in time, there is no confirmation whether at all the CBI has sought for that sort of an exemption. But what we can confirm to our viewers that as of now, the plan still remains of about 7 days in Mumbai so that they can carry out the preliminary work, which would essentially mean that one, they would be collecting all the case diary and the other documentation, which includes the postmortem report as well as the viscera report. And thereafter, they would also be visiting the crime scene, which happens to be the late actor's residence, where the recreation of the crime scene would be done, including dummy tests that would be conducted by the Central Bureau of Investigation. So that would be the first step that would be taken by the CBI's SIT team, which would essentially involve ascertaining the cause of death. And thereafter, searches in all likelihood would also be carried out, but searches perhaps may take a little bit more time than what we are expecting at this stage.
All right. So, Shaban sharing more details of the CBI probe right after being given a go-ahead by the top court yesterday, officially taking over in the investigation. And as Shaban is pointing out, a team, the SIT, comprising of nearly 8 to 12 officers, is in all likelihood will be reaching Mumbai this evening. It is yet to be known if they had sought any exemptions from the quarantine period from the Maharashtra government. So, also when it comes to the case diaries, Shaban, is it really taking over from the Mumbai police, or it will be investigation right from the scratch for the CBI?
Well, for the CBI, this is certainly going to be investigation from the scratch. The statements that have been recorded by the Mumbai police holds no value as far as this investigation goes, which will be conducted by the Central Bureau of Investigation. For a reference point, certainly these statements would come in handy. But with regards to the pure investigation, unlikely that anything that has been done by the Mumbai police would be extremely handy for the CBI. However, having said that, remember what they want to largely depend on is the forensic examination that has been done. Their own forensic team would also be examining the reports that have basically come in, which involves the detailed postmortem report. What is not known is that whether at all the viscera report has been received by the Mumbai police at this point in time.
So the postmortem details the recreation of the crime scene, that is the residence of Sushant Singh Rajput in Bandra, and that is how the CBI will be beginning its investigation, being on the right track now, and all the case diaries will be taken over from the Mumbai police. Thanks very much, Shaman, for joining in. We're moving on to more news.